All right, guys, today is Monday, April 25th, 2022. So welcome to Area 55, which is what I'm now calling the compound here, since I'm working on 255 Chevys. So I got a gallon of paint in the mail, so I kind of wanted to show you guys that and give you an idea of the colors that I'm putting on the car, which I've talked about it several times, but let's turn the camera around here. So these are the colors that's going on my wife's four-door 55 Chevy. Now hers is a 210, not a Bel Air, but I will just be two-toning the roof only, just the roof skin. That's the way they two-tone 210s. So this is a paint that is sold on eBay, and I actually have a buddy of mine that used this exact place for some paint about a year ago, and it worked out great. Still looks good on his car. So this is TCP Global on eBay, and they have all kinds of stuff. This is acrylic enamel. They did have urethane as well, but it was a little bit more money. This was $170-ish, so pretty affordable, and it came as a kit. It came with the activator, strainers, sticks, and it came in a nice packaged kit. But this is actually Shoreline Beige, and I haven't stirred this up. I shook it a little bit, but that is pretty much it there. So that is what's going to be on the roof of the car. Now I had a color here, but I don't think I got enough paint. So I decided to go ahead and buy a gallon. I always try to buy more paint than I need, because just in case something screws up or if I need to redo something later, I will have that exact paint from the can and it should match up. So this is non-metallic and pearls, just plain Jane, acrylic enamel. I've decided to go all single stage paints on this car just for the simplicity, and it's cheaper. But this is the actual green that I got for the car. This is a 50s green. This is off of a Buick, like a 50s Buick, and I ended up getting a gallon and a half mixed of this. And now this is single stage urethane, but that is the two colors together there. So if you can see that, get out here in the light here. So that green is really a 50s style green that you'd normally see. And 50s for me was pretty much green. Most of the 55s I have had, I'd say 90% of them were original green cars. So there was, I don't know if they did more green ones than any other color or not, but it sure seemed like every one I drug in was green. But anyway, so the roof only from the drip rail over will be the Shoreline Beige, which is technically it's a factory 55 name of the color for 55. So that will be on the roof, and then all of the rest of the car will be this green, which I think was called Willow or something like that, but I may be wrong on that. But the rest of the car will be that color. Now there's a couple of changes I made to this car, and I've talked about this many times. I did decide to go with Bel Air stainless on the A-pillar here. Bel Air's had a strip of stainless that goes here, and that is to hide the tape line. I'm going to bring it from the bottom of the drip rail edge right there at a hard angle downward across. That way that stainless that goes across here will hide that two-tone brake. Originally from the factory, they just had a tape line, so and I don't like that. Back here you don't notice it. It's a perfect cutoff right there for your corner molding on your rear trim. But the rest of the car will be green. And this car was originally two-tone green, dark green and light green, but the factory green on the roof is a little bit more of a blue, and I wanted a green. I wanted a 50 style green, so that's why I changed it out. The car's going to look original, but it's going to be highly well, not highly customized, but it'll have resto mod style stuff. So the other thing I decided to do on the car was use Bel Air side moldings down the side of the car. One of these goes on the long part of the quarter panel, and this one goes on the door. Now originally from 55, this little cove insert in the trim was painted white, and that 210 series had this style trim. It's just plain and it's skinnier. It doesn't have a cove in it that's painted. So I decided to go with the Bel Air trim so I could put that Shoreline Beige in that trim insert in that cove. That will break up that whole sea of green that car will be. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of green from the headlight to the tail light down the side of the car, so I needed something to break it up. So that's the main reason I'm using the Bel Air trim. It's just a little bit of detail for me. Now, I bought a brand new set of these factory style hubcaps like this for the 4-door. Now they have white paint inlay here, so I'm going to take one of my new hubcaps to my vinyl sign place down here. I'm going to have them cut me some stencils out to put over the bow ties, and I'm also going to put the Shoreline beige in there instead of white. So I'll tie that Shoreline beige in quite a bit in the car, so, and still kind of retain a factory style to it. You know, instead of doing white, it'll be beige, which I think is kind of neat. Now these 210s, you know, the dash would be body color, which is going to be the green, but the insert down the center of the dash was usually a different color. So I'm going to use the Shoreline beige in the center of the dash as well. So it'll kind of have a little bit of splash of beige here and there on the car, and I think it'll kind of break it up just enough and give it a nice detail and look good. But I wanted the car, the whole theme of the car is to look like an original showroom fresh 55 4-door 210, but have a little bit of custom subtleties done to it that no one would really notice. Like, you know, I smoothed the factory firewall a little bit, done a few little custom changes there. But I mean, overall, it's just going to be stock height and everything. So it's going to look just like a factory 55 210. I think that's kind of cool. So that's the colors. All right, so I'm working on the 3-point seat belts. These were an eBay purchase, pretty inexpensive. I actually list them for a Jeep, but they are universal, so to speak. So they come with bolts. They did not come with nuts. Luckily, in my grade 8 hardware bin, I had some of the nuts, and they're grade 8 as well. They're serrated flange nuts. So what I did was I took just some scraps off my shelf over there. I'm not even sure what thickness that is. It's pretty heavy duty stuff. And I trimmed it down and cut it down to fit in the B-pillar right here. I 45-degree beveled the sides and then welded it to the 3 layers of steel that's in here. I also welded it to the centerpiece, and I put corner welds up here in the top and the bottom. So I feel that this is not coming out of the B-pillar in case of a bad accident, but I welded the flange nut to the back. I drilled a hole in the plate after I cut it out, and I welded the flange nut on the back side. And then I stuck it up there and welded it up. And it's completely flush with the B-pillar, so when I put the upholstery covering piece here, it fits flat like it's supposed to. It is hollow down through here on this side, so I can still get my dome light wires down through here. These are the clips for it. They run down all the way down into these clips and down into the main, you know, taillight harness to go up front. But now I have to build something similar to that down here. I'm going to go off the existing hole right here for the nut, basically. I'll have to open that up with a die grinder just a little bit for clearance, but I'm going to take some of this. I got a pretty good chunk of this stuff, and I'm basically just going to cut it to where it fits. I think I'm going to cut it to where it fits on here, where I can do a perimeter weld on this to this part here. But that'll be for attaching the retractor part down here, and I may have to put a spacer behind it. I've got a whole tray full of different size spacers and stuff, so I'm going to put the retractor here. I don't know if I'm going to leave that retractor open like that, just like it is. It doesn't look terrible, but I may end up building a little sheet metal cover that I can upholster and completely cover it and just have a slot for that to come through. But anyway, this is the bolt that it comes with, and it goes through here obviously, and then it'll go up here and it'll screw to the B-pillar. So now this piece here is supposed to go up in this area here somewhere, and I am not quite sure exactly where yet. I think the best thing to do for this one is I will probably wait until the seat is all done and it's in the car and everything's pretty much ready. All right, guys, so I've already had all this stuff out, and then I taped it back up, and this has been probably a week ago that I taped everything back up. I didn't tape up the evaporator. Now, this was that underdash universal air conditioning kit that I bought off eBay, and to my door, it was $427, I think. It's like 398 bucks with free shipping, and then you got to pay the stupid tax and crap. But that is pretty much it. You get a condenser, you get a Sandin 508 compressor. It has a dual groove pulley on it, and it comes with hoses, fittings, oil, O-rings, and some other crap in here. This kit does not come with the engine brackets for the compressor. This guy does sell those separately, but there's so many variants of brackets for vehicles, you know, he doesn't try to, you know, set up a whole kit with that. So you got to buy your engine bracket separately. Now, I ended up finding the bracket from a different person on eBay because the bracket that I picked out is a lot closer to the engine. I don't like some of those brackets that are out there where the compressor and the alternator and stuff's hanging way off the side of the engine. I like everything to be tucked in a little bit. So that's what I ended up buying. Now, I got to say, I'm kind of impressed with this unit. I did tape up, put plastic on and tape up the unit here so it didn't get scuffed up, but it has a little unit that you basically screw up underneath the dash, and it has your chrome knobs and stuff. It has a little LED light in the middle of it. But it's pretty cool. Now, I went out and I opened the hood on my pickup, and I hooked up my power probe to the battery on the truck, and I jumped that blower motor, and I was blown away at how hard this thing blows. Pretty amazing. Almost 4 feet out, I could feel that air blowing. That's pretty amazing. And that's with the truck setting there. You know, when an engine's running and the alternator's running, you got a little bit more voltage, so it's going to blow even harder. Not a whole bunch, but a little bit. So I'm pretty impressed with it. The only thing that is not that awesome is the finish on it is just shiny, plain plastic. It's not grained or, you know, anything. But again, it's 400 bucks. So I could have lived with that. Now, when you put it underneath the dash of 55 or 56, you know, a lot of it sticks out. There's a good, you know, 4 or 5 inches of it sticking out. Now, if you want to sweat your butt off in the summer, that would, you know, cure your blues for 400 bucks, basically. But what is very interesting is I had somebody show up in my driveway the other day, and that somebody is my friend Terry, the subscriber that has brought out a few parts. He brought another thing out here that I was kind of blown away by, so I'll show you that. So he brought me this for free. This is a complete evaporator kit from Vintage Air for a 55-56. So this is the retrofit kit that goes underneath the dash in place of your factory heater box. So this is a, you know, built specifically for that car. This is heat and air together. Now, this evaporator itself is used. So I will tell you what happened. So Terry has a shop and he works on old stuff, and he had a customer bring in a 55 Chevy that another shop had put this unit in, and it didn't really cool that well. It would get cold, but it wasn't really cold like it's supposed to be. Terry's installed quite a few of these. He knows what he's doing. So his idea, well, actually the other shop changed out the air conditioning compressor thinking the compressor was not working right. So, and that didn't fix it. Now, Terry's idea was they might had too much oil in the system. So, you know, too much oil in an air conditioning system will cause it not to be that cold. And he said that some of the compressors that you buy have oil already in them. So he thinks it just might have had a little bit too much oil in it. So his idea was to take the unit out from underneath the dash, take the valve off of the evaporator down here on the line, because that valve is closed. That way you can flush out the evaporator core and get all that oil out of there. So that's what he was planning on doing. The owner said that, you know, even though they weren't 100% sure that that's what the problem was, to go ahead and just buy this whole new evaporator kit and change it out. So that's exactly what they did. Now, the owner did not want the unit back. He told him he could keep it, so Terry just went ahead and gave it to me. Now, this thing about this is when Terry took the unit out, he also, you know, took this stuff loose, and he noticed this. And he thinks this might actually be the smoking gun, but he still recommended me to take that valve off and drain that evaporator, and I'm going to do that. This is the heater valve that goes in the heater hose, in line with the heater hoses, you know. So this grid part goes up. They had it upside down, and also has a directional arrow on it. That was backwards. So this was upside down and backwards. So this could be most likely the cause of that unit not cooling. So, but he's still not 100% sure that either the oil or this is the problem. So that's why he didn't want to sell it to me, because it is faulty. But I think it's freaking sweet. This is a complete kit, evaporator kit. You know, it has the little air conditioning vent pods that go underneath the corners of the dash. There's the glove box insert. Here's the main box with the vents in the front that go underneath the dash. There's the defrost ducts. There's the wiring harness. There's the kit for the slide control unit. Now he did use the dryer because, you know, you break a system loose, you need to change the dryer back out. But anyway, the trinary switch is still there in the brackets. So, I mean, the only used parts I really got was the heater valve and this. So, I think that's pretty awesome. I printed the instructions off of Vintage Air's website. 32 pages. And I got to tell you, that's going to be a fun unit to install. There's all the hoses and stuff. But this is a heat and air retrofit for a 55, 56 because they share the same dash and cowl. Pretty freaking awesome. Now, when you price all the other parts that go with this evaporator kit, because a complete kit is about $2,000, but if you price this evaporator kit's just over $1,000 just for that. If you price the condenser, the dryer, the compressor, and the hose and fitting set, I don't remember now what it was, but it was expensive. It was cheaper for me to use this kit than it is to buy all those parts outright for that to be a complete kit. The hoses, fittings, and everything is the exact same size, same compressor and everything as that kit right there. So I now have a complete retrofit Vintage Air kit for $427 thanks to Terry. So thank you again, Terry. That was freaking awesome. Now, I did think about going ahead and using this kit in my wife's car and then saving this for the hardtop. But the truth is, I don't know that I'll ever put air conditioning on that hardtop. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of this car having all that AC crap under the hood. It is a jumbled up mess by the time you get all that stuff on there. And I know you can hide a lot of that stuff and use a bulkhead at the firewall and make it really, really trick. But I want to show this car at least for the first season or two of car show seasons, first couple of years when it's done, without all the air conditioning stuff on it, because it looks so sanitary under that hood, just being simple. The only thing on that engine is an alternator. So I'm really more into the show side with this car than I am the actual use of it, I guess you'd say. Now, I've drove 55s for years, so I've never had air conditioning in one. You pull them floor vents open and have a pair of shorts on and a tank top or a short sleeve shirt, and I'm just fine. So this car is dynamatted, which it is black. It is going to be a hot box. Dynamat makes a huge difference on a black car, specifically without air conditioning, because I did it on another car with the Dynamat stuff, and it was kind of amazing of the temperature drop in there. So that's kind of where I'm at. I would rather have my wife, you know, have a nice AC unit in her car. So that's what I'm going to do. If I ever do air conditioning on this car, it's going to be a big, it's going to be kind of a mess, we'll say. You know, I did all that firewall work, and I've got the factory deluxe heater box in there, and it comes with a plate that goes over the blower motor hole for all the lines to come out of. So you get two little rubber plugs to go in your heater hose outlets. So, you know, I would have to do that or go back and try to redo just the firewall. Also, I built a glove box insert in this car that has the radio and stuff in it. That will no longer work with that unit because it comes with a smaller plastic glove box liner. So it would kind of be a big deal to put air on that car. Now, I'm not saying I won't ever do it, because more than likely I will down the road, but